to the treatment part, and we have Professor Abu Bakr Yaro, who is Director General and Chief Scientific Officer of AHRO Center for Academic Research in UK. He has done a lot of work on antiviral drugs, and today he will talk about the drugs which are effective against influenza virus. I think we can skip a few slides and we go directly to the therapeutic interventions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Ashok. I think these are good activities. And I also like to copy Dr. Is it Afiz to wish all Muslim happy Ramadan Mubarak. So, I think so many, content has been, delivered today, which is quite marvelous. So the first talk is on vaccine are the best option for prophylaxis and control of any pandemic. However, substantial diversity of influenza vaccine reduces the impact of vaccine efficacy. In addition, lag time between virus in identification, vaccine distribution, and concern about vaccine safety are a growing issue that leads to vaccination refusal. Therefore, on the basis of this, we can, say that antiviral therapy is vital for controlling influenza viral infection. Next slide, please. So, what are the advantages of antiviral therapy? We know that antiviral agents are critical tools for managing influenza viruses, and antivirals are very important for prophylactic and therapeutic measures. And the use of antiviral agent leads to the reduction of influenza-associated morbidity and mortality. Next slide, please. So I'll not go deep into the target, but this is a typical life cycle or replication cycle of an influenza virus. So if you can see the ion channel inhibitors, they inhibit the endocytosis phase of the replication cycle. So next, please. So which antivirals are available? Historically, we have 4 classes of antivirals which has been approved for treating seasonal epidemic and pandemic influenza. The first one is amantadine, which was approved in 1970s, and it consists of amantadine and rimantadine. Then you will have the neuraminidase inhibitors, which was approved in 1999, and we have a typical example being oseltamivir. Then we have the nucleoside analogs, which was approved initially in Japan in 2014, and a typical one is favipiravir. Then the cap-dependent endonuclease inhibitors, typical one is BSM, which I'll talk about it later, and it was approved in 2018. Next, please. So these are this table represent the inhibitors and their trade name and their mode of action and the target, the viral protein that they target. Next, please. So let's talk about neuraminidase inhibitors. They actually target the neuraminidase glycoprotein by inhibiting the enzymic activities which are required for budding of newly emerging virion from the host cells. Currently, we have 4 of them: oseltamivir, zanamivir, peramivir, and lanimnamivir. So most of the time, these inhibitors are administered within 48 hours of onset of symptoms. However, they differ based on the treatment regimen, administration route, and the resistance profile. Next, please. So the most widely used NAIS is oseltamivir, which is also referred to as Tamiflu. Then we have zanamivir, which is also called as Relenza. This one is administered via inhaled drug or inhaled route. Then in 2019, it was shown that, it was the European Union authorized IV zanamivir for patients who are severely ill and they cannot be able to, take drugs by the oral route. Peramivir is also delivered through IV infusion as a single dose. Then we have laninamivir and peramivir, which has been approved for use in limited countries. However, oseltamivir and zanamivir have a wider approval across the globe. So most of the countries, use these particular drugs. So while we know that NAIS have clinical benefits or they are beneficial, there are some challenges which comes with the use of NAIS. Various or different type of NAIS, show different kind of therapeutic benefit and efficacy. So that when somebody is, let's say in Ghana, where I come from, and somebody is based here in the UK, sometimes the dosing becomes a problem because maybe the efficacy profile in Ghana is different from the one that we have in UK. Then secondly, the emerging class, the resistant profile between the drugs, let's say zanamivir and oseltamivir, are sometimes, they are sometimes different. And based on this, different mutations have been reported. For example, in H1N1, we have PMO9, NA122R, and so on and so forth. But NAH274Y has been found to be clinically very relevant. Oseltamivir resistant strain, including HIS274 thiamine, has also been identified or have emerged, which have impact on the effectiveness of the use of these drugs. But however, studies have shown that most of these resistant strain remains sensitive to zanamivir. Therefore, we can say that NAS remain an important tool for treating influenza virus infected individuals, taking into consideration a seasonal epidemic. So when we want to identify the resistant profile of this viral strain, we normally use the combination of phenotypic and NA, that's neuraminidase sequence-based analysis. Next, please. The second kind of drug that is available is matrix 2 protein ion channel inhibitors. As I said earlier, when I was talking about the adamantines, we have amantadine and rimantadine, which belong to this class of drugs. Initially, adamantines were the first choice against influenza A virus outbreaks for many years. Their mechanism of action involved targeting and inhibiting the function of matrix protein of influenza A virus. However, with influenza B virus, the matrix protein is not sensitive to this class of drugs. Next, please. So some of the side effects that have been associated with this class of drug includes anxiety, insomnia, dizziness, headache, and gastrointestinal upset. As I said, resistance is one of the problems associated with anti-influenza drugs. So with this particular class of drug, the resistance occurs in the transmembrane region of the matrix protein molecule. Therefore, a single mutation can lead to the development of resistant strain. Some of the mutations are mentioned over there, leucine to 20 at position 26 to phenol, etc. So resistance to this class of drugs negatively impact their effectiveness against many influenza strains. Next, please. Then we go to viral polymerase inhibitors. As we know, the viral polymerase enzyme is one of the essential enzyme which is responsible for viral gene transcription and genome replication. I think it is one of the most attractive drug targets. I think when you take like HIV, for example, one of the main targets of the antiviral drugs is polymerase, the HIV polymerase. But with influenza, up to date, only balosavilmabozil, that's BSM, is used as polymerase inhibitor. In fact, BSM was first approved in Japan, as I said earlier, in 2014, because of a certain side effect which limited its use. But later, the US and the European Union followed in approving the use of BSM in treating influenza infection. Next, please. So BSM is a product of balosavir acid. And we know that BSA target the carb-dependent endonuclease activities of polymeric acid protein subunit of the virus. It can inhibit viral strains which are resistant to NASIS, and it has been found that BSA has a wide broad activities, and it inhibits type A, B, C, and D viruses. So on the basis of this, we can say that BSM can be useful during pandemics. Next, please. So in order to find out whether there was the BSM, there will be emergence of resistance strain. Initially, there was this induced resistance study which identified that BSM, can also become, the virus can also become resistant to BSM, whereby it reduces the binding affinity of the antiviral agent. And other mutations were also later reported, such as LLE38 to PHE. However, randomized control trials show that human-to-human transmission of resistant variant is possible, which is of major concern. Next, please. In Japan, high resistance rate among children treated with balosavir has been reported. And when you take favipiravir, pimodivir, they also show that there are certain resistant pattern profile that has been reported. Studies have shown that one of the drugs, pimodivir, has activities against multiple influenza subtypes, which suggests that this class of drugs can be beneficial both for seasonal epidemic and pandemic. However, we need more study to refine the drug. We have to find out the best or optimum dosing, the best route of administration. We have high risk versus uncompleted individuals. So all this need to be done so that we refine the drug very well. So these are the structures of some of the available anti-influenza drugs that are in use. Next, please. So while we are thinking of single or monotherapy, which leads to the emergence of resistant drugs, there is a strategy of combination of drugs where different antiviral agents can be used to enhance potency and reduce the prospect of the emergence of drug-resistant viruses. For example, a study undertaking combine amantadine with interferon. Then another study also combined interferon alpha with ribavirin and rimantadine. So the strategy in this combination therapy is you combine antiviral that can act simultaneously on different targets of the replication cycle of the virus. Therefore, on the basis of these, we are of the opinion that we need more clinical trials to optimize combination therapy. For example, adjusting dosing and timing of administration. We have to understand what particular combination works in a specific target population. For example, high risk versus complicated infections, and incorporating new combination that includes CAP, CENIS. So I know for us here in UK, we've started a certain study that we want to combine different type of anti-influenza therapy, including monoclonal antibodies, so that we see if they can be effective and more potent. One strategy that can also be used in managing or treating both seasonal epidemic and pandemic is we know that severe influenza infections are characterized by elevated pro-inflammatory cytokines. So therefore, post-target immune modulators may provide another option for treatment. Currently, there are no recommendations for immunomodulators agent for influenza infection. However, data has shown that combination of antivirals with immunomodulators had some clinical benefit in randomized controlled trials. Some of the studies undertaken was clarithromycin plus oseltamivir and naproxen, and the clinical trial showed that the participants who were given this combination had more viral clearance than those who were on monotherapy. Next, please. So, in conclusion and in future direction, as I said earlier, influenza, though a vaccine preventable disease, is still a serious global public health issue. The current FDA-approved drugs with distinct mode of action provides the foundation for treating seasonal influenza, or let me say seasonal epidemic, and for pandemic response. However, the emergence of resistance influenza strain is a major challenge in influenza treatment. Therefore, we need to explore other avenues to be able to increase the tools that we have for confronting or managing influenza. For example, we need to try to, develop new drugs. I know there was this particular study which showed that flavonoids from classy 3 has some neuraminidase effect on influenza during clinical trials. We need to also look at monoclonal antibodies, because what COVID-19 taught us was when you take passive immunization, it's possible that we could be able to, find another solution to both, especially during pandemic time. Then also we need more studies to, understand the role of combinational therapy in influenza, both seasonal epidemic and pandemic responses. Therefore, the developing potent antiviral therapy agent will be essential for both prophylactic and therapeutic intervention against seasonal epidemic and pandemic influenza viruses. Next, please.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Abu. Now